So I want to begin this video by highlighting a criticism that's been aimed at Japanese developer FromSoftware for a number of years now. There have been people that have aimed this criticism, this critique that FromSoftware is a one-trick pony. One-trick pony meaning they basically develop the same thing over and over again with slight variation, which I've criticized them myself on that same front more than once. So the question is, does this actually have any weight? Is there any legitimacy to this criticism that all FromSoftware does is release the same game over and over again? Do they reuse assets? Do they reuse animations? Be it in their combat system or just basic movement of a particular character that they've developed? Do they reuse the same graphics engine over and over again from game to game to game? Speaking of which, I don't know who the fuck this person is, but this is not a good argument. Trying to claim that The Last of Us is the same as Uncharted is stupid. That's a dumbass argument. Just some general advice from yours truly. Yeah, don't go up on this website. This will be one of the only times I will ever use a fucking GameFAQs topic to make a point. But it is a good point that someone has made, because, like I said, this is a criticism that's been, generated, that's been repeated, that's been voiced for a long time. Just recently, FromSoftware revealed the first major look at Elden Ring, the gameplay. And I must say, I wanted to wait until I decided to make this video to watch it. I have not seen the gameplay at all, but I am not expecting anything special. I'm not expecting anything special for this. What I'm expecting is the same formula that this company has been basically recycling for a number of years now, just presented in an open world format, because they already revealed a long time ago that Elden Ring is an open world game. And I'm expecting something cheap that was, haphazardly thrown together. People who aren't so smart, which is really the majority of FromSoftware fans and Souls-like fans in general. So these people can go out and spend money on a ridiculous collector's edition full of garbage that no one really needs. So that's what I'm expecting, if anything. But like any other trailer, I'm going to go in unbiased. I will give commentary throughout the video. And hopefully I get something positive out of this. But I don't suspect that's going to be the case. But let's dig in here.
We hope it helps to convey a little of this title's mood and gameplay. Occasionally, Grace will manifest rays of guiding light.
So a horse just pops out of thin air. Just literally comes out of nowhere. Uh-huh. These environments that they're showing off, it looks very empty to me. Empty as in there's not much going on in the environment itself. So even though some of the locations may be varied, if there's not much going on within each individual area, then what the hell is the point of it being an open world game? Not to mention, FromSoftware going open world really isn't a good thing if you think about it, considering that one of the best parts about these Souls-likes is the level design. The fact that they're removing the linearity from this new title, they're removing a lot of what made the level design special. Now, clearly they're using the same graphics engine that they've been using for years. I mean, you could see it in the earlier trailers for this game, but something that has to be mentioned yet again.
I'll be just fine. I'm very well trained.
You see this clipping right here? The sword holster right here is clipping through the character's cape. Like, I understand you're gonna have some clipping here and there, but come on. They couldn't design a character to, to where that doesn't happen and is not as noticeable on screen. Also, apparently we have a character that's talking right here, right? But there's no animation in the character. There's no indication that the character is alive because the model is just sitting still. There's no vibrancy with how the character is interacting with the player. Again, the reason I point these things out is because FromSoftware games usually get like 9 out of 10s and 10 out of 10s unanimously. So it's easy to point out the small things that don't really work when everyone thinks that games like these are just immaculate. Also, what a stupid design. So it's a pot, it's a giant pot with arms and legs. Perhaps somewhere in this game they got some pans, like they got dish pans that have arms and legs too. Maybe they'll have like eyeballs and a pair of ears. They clearly have run out of ideas at this point, so they're resorting to inanimate objects as characters now. And this is what they're asking $60 for. Interesting.
We'll prepare for combat with some...
So here we have the item crafting menu. Again, why does everything look exactly the same as Dark Souls? Why is that? They even have the exact same categories for all your leveling. They have the same storage mechanics. All of this has been recycled. And I guarantee quite a few of these items right over here have been recycled as well and have just been given a different name. This right here is proof that they want people to continue buying the same thing over and over again because they know they have a formula that is successful. Except they don't go out of their way to try and change that formula to any drastic degree to make that continued investment for consumers worth it. This is how you get people that think that FromSoftware is a one-trick pony, because all they do is release the same crap over and over again.
Some item crafting, using materials found in the world.
And I wouldn't be surprised if this game has a item duplication glitch that they somehow failed to mention in the gameplay previews leading up to release. It wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. Now you already shot him in the back with an arrow. Why do you have to then subsequently finish him off with a stab? He should already be dead from the arrow. Okay.
Enemy stance can be broken with heavy strikes, such as when attacking from above.
These are some of the same attack animations and sound cues. The sound as well. Some of these things are straight up ripped from their older games. Again, aside from the open world stuff, what about this is new?
A variety of unique attacks can also be interchanged between weapons. Online multiplayer can also be enjoyed with players from other worlds, from cooperative to PvP and invasions.
Cooperative, PvP, and invasions. Again, nothing new. Nothing new that's worth all of this hype that this game has received.
We've come across a boss guarding this area. We'll take it on with the help of our co-op partner.
The only thing that I am seeing that's kind of, looks like it's been revamped is the magic stuff. Whatever mechanics they're dealing with for the magic system. Some of it does look new. But I guarantee it's not really going to, it's not going to really help the player out that much. Because the whole emphasis on these games is the difficulty. So more than likely, all of the magic attacks are going to be underpowered. Especially against bosses. They can't even change the rolling animation. It's like, really? They can't even change the animation of opening a door. A lot of this looks recycled. The vast majority of this looks recycled, including the art direction. This just looks like another Dark Souls game. I wonder why that is.
Catacombs, caves, mines, and other dungeons can be found while out exploring the world.
Catacombs, caves, and mines. Sounds like they just took the Chalice dungeons from Bloodborne and just gave them a different name. Wow, they even brought back the skeletons too. They couldn't help themselves.
These dungeons each hold their own secrets.
I would advise against taking the main gate into the castle.
It even sounds like they just reused the same voice actors from game to game. Something I've actually never thought about. I find it strange how all of these characters sound the same as characters from their other games, their older games. I wonder why that is.
Fair enough.
The little dialogue boxes that pop up on screen look pretty much exactly the same as their older games. I wonder why that is.
You certainly don't have to trust me. Well, if you must go through the gates, I'll signal them to open.
Wow. Even the healing animation looks exactly the same. All that is just an Estus flask. But it probably has a different name in this game because, FromSoftware has a thing of trying to hide the fact that they just make the same thing over and over again. And so what they do is they just change the names of certain things in order to establish this narrative that what they're doing is actually new, when it's not new. And there are those of us that are smart enough to see through this bullshit.
The main route seems risky, so we'll try entering through a back way. Hope players enjoy getting a feel for the different types of areas and coming up with suitable strategies for each.
Coming up with suitable strategies for each, huh? You mean the same strategy that players have been using for all your other fucking games for years? Those strategies, right? It's not like, at this point, anyone who plays these games is expecting anything different as far as, gameplay and structure goes.
Plain as a lord. I command thee, kneel! I am the lord of all that is golden.
Random opera music just comes out of nowhere. Again, I wonder why that is. Yep, that was boring as hell. I was so bored watching that. $189 for a collector's edition. I think this is just hilarious. This whole thing with this FromSoftware shit. Because the thing is, not only does FromSoftware release the same game over and over again, just with a different title. So in reality, this is more like Dark Souls 6 or Dark Souls 7. If you were to count Sekiro, Bloodborne, and now this nonsense right here. Not only do they release the same game over and over again with very little variation, but we also have a bunch of developers who see that FromSoftware has a formula, and they are either too lazy or they're not talented enough. They're not ambitious enough to come up with their own niche, their own formula, their own game that makes them stand out, like FromSoftware has done. And so what they do is they take FromSoftware's formula and basically recycle it to fit their own idea of what a game like this should look like. And it's easy money because they know people are going to buy it. Part of the reason why I won't be buying this game and I will no longer support FromSoftware is because I see the formula that they keep doing. I see the cycle. It's something that I've noticed since my second game from them. The first game I ever played from them was Bloodborne, and my second was Dark Souls 3. And I noticed a lot of the similarities between Dark Souls 3 and Bloodborne. Then Sekiro was announced, and I was hoping that Sekiro was going to be something different, but it wasn't. You have idiots out there that think that Sekiro was its own game, its own special thing, but in reality, it really wasn't. It was just the same crap, window dressed in a different coat of paint. Now we have Elden Ring. The whole thing with Elden Ring is that it's open world, but there's far better open world games that do open world better than a fucking FromSoftware game can do open world. There are open world games that are slated for release next year that are going to be better at being open world games than Elden Ring. And the sad thing about FromSoftware is that FromSoftware used to be a creative company before all this Souls-like crap. According to Wikipedia, they have over 300 employees. None of these employees have gone to upper level management and has, said, guys, we've been making the same game over and over again for a long time. Maybe, we should try something different. No, we're not going to make anything different. Just go back to your desk and do your damn job. No one has gone to these producers or to the president and CEO of FromSoftware, the head guy, the head guys up there, which would be Hidetaka Miyazaki and Masanori Takeuchi. I'm assuming that's how that's pronounced. No one has come to them and said, why are we making the same thing over and over and over again? Because if you look at their older games, FromSoftware has been around for almost as long as I've been alive. I was born in 93. Their first game was in 94 with King's Field. And if you look at their games, there's quite a bit of variation among all of the games that they've developed. At least, there used to be. They had King's Field, which was like a medieval third-person RPG. Well, shit, that sounds like Dark Souls already. But they had Armored Core. Armored Core, to me, is their best IP, and there hasn't been an Armored Core game in, over 10 years? And then we had, some other games. Maybe, these things weren't as successful as they had hoped. Games like Enchanted Arms, games like Metal Wolf Chaos, games like Ninja Blade, for example. I didn't even know that was a FromSoftware game. And then we have Demon Souls, which was basically the beginning of the end. There is some variation after Demon Souls, but after they released Dark Souls, everything is pretty much downhill from there. They released one more Armored Core game, so that's a 9-year-old game at this point. They release a Mobile Suit Gundam game. They release whatever the hell this was supposed to be. Looks like a Call of Duty ripoff or whatever. And basically everything since Dark Souls 1 has just been more Souls shit. I mean, sure, they released some Monster Hunter game for the 3DS that no one cares about. They released some random VR game that no one cared about. But everything else has been a variation of a game that came out initially in 2009. They haven't released a new Armored Core game since 2012. They've done nothing new as far as new IP is concerned that's not a Souls-like. They haven't done anything that's new that's not a Souls-like in years, a long time, over 10 years. And they keep getting these ridiculous high scores. It's not that FromSoftware is praised because their games are just that good. It's that their audience is just that stupid and that dim-witted, and all they care about is getting the same thing over and over again. It's like going to your favorite restaurant, right? You have a favorite restaurant. Every time you go to said restaurant, you order the same thing over and over again because you know it's something that you're going to enjoy. It's something that you know your money is going to be well spent on because it's what you want. There's nothing wrong with knowing what you want, except when you start saying that this is the best thing ever. When you go around telling people that you haven't lived until you've tried said dish at said restaurant. No other restaurant compares to your restaurant. No other dish compares to your dish. No other game, no other video game compares to FromSoftware, because FromSoftware is just that great. Their games are just that good. Yet all they do is release the same crap over and over again. We have companies like Ubisoft that's known for, franchises like Far Cry, Assassin's Creed. We have companies like Electronic Arts, which is known for a variety of different things, from their sports franchises to some of their recent Star Wars games to their Sims franchise and then some. And they're criticized for releasing the same thing over and over again. We have people out there that criticize Sony for releasing the same so-called cinematic movie game over and over again. But whenever FromSoftware releases a game and it's the same shit, oh no one cares about that. Only a vocal minority like myself is really going to speak out against it. Maybe it's because FromSoftware is a Japanese company and so they're viewed differently from all these other companies that are out there compared to, Ubisoft, which is a French company, or Electronic Arts, which is an American company. Or maybe that's not the case because Sony receives the same criticism, and Sony is also a Japanese-based company. So I'm not really sure what it is with Souls-like fans, this fan base. What I do know is that FromSoftware is nothing special. Their games have never been special. The best thing they've ever released is the Armored Core series, and they haven't made a new Armored Core game in years. They even said they were going to release a new Armored Core game years ago, and have yet to do so. It was revealed back in 2016, 5 years ago, that FromSoftware was working on 3 new games, and one of them is apparently an Armored Core game. Yet we have yet to hear anything of this so-called Armored Core game since. It's been half a decade. Souls fans are so lost in their own ignorance that they keep asking for sequels to games that are just rip-offs of other things that they've already played, like Bloodborne. They want a Bloodborne 2. Why? What is a Bloodborne 2 supposed to improve over the original? What is a Bloodborne 2 supposed to bring to the table that the first game didn't already do? Especially if you look at their 2 most recent games with Sekiro and now this Elden Ring nonsense. And another thing with Elden Ring, one of the big headlines with this game from the beginning has been that FromSoftware has teamed up with George R.R. Martin in a collaboration. George R.R. Martin, the author of a Song of Fire and Ice series, which was later translated to television as the series everyone knows to be Game of Thrones. Apparently, he worked on this game's story, but it was later revealed that he really didn't do shit with the story. All he did was come up with the lore. He gave them basically an outline, and they cherry-picked exactly what they were going to use and what they weren't going to use for Elden Ring. George R.R. Martin can't even finish his own fucking series. Game of Thrones ended a few years ago, and he has yet to release a new book in his fantasy novel series. There are people excited for Elden Ring just because George R.R. Martin's name is attached to the project. If anything, his name being attached to the project is another reason to avoid Elden Ring entirely. So that's Elden Ring. The same shit, the same attack animations, the same gameplay tropes, the same pacing, the same ambiguity with the so-called story that's not really a story and that's really up for interpretation, the same gameplay mechanics and gameplay loop, the same graphics engine, the same boss design, the same everything. Except, oh, now it's open world. Now you can summon a horse out of thin air. Please buy our new game for $60. That's what they're selling you come February. I will not be buying this game. I will not be supporting this game. and I will no longer support FromSoftware as a studio, because they are indeed a one-trick pony.